Hello and welcome to Sussex Street Christian Centre's Reflection series. We're currently looking at the Gospel of Mark. We're working through the Gospel by the subheadings found in each chapter. We really hope that you're blessed by the reflections and that they help you to grow in your relationship with God, as well as inspiring you to action as followers of God, being disciples, making disciples. Today we're looking at Mark chapter 6 from verses 30 to 44, reading from the New Living Translation. The apostles returned to Jesus from their ministry tour and told him all they had done and what they had taught. Then Jesus said, "Let's get away from the crowds for a while and rest." There were so many people coming and going that Jesus and his apostles didn't even have time to eat. They left by boat for a quieter spot. But many people saw them leaving, and people from many towns ran ahead along the shore and met them as they landed. A vast crowd was there as he stepped from the boat, and he had compassion on them, because they were like sheep without a shepherd. So he taught them many things. Late in the afternoon, his disciples came to him and said, "This is a desolate place, and it's getting late. Send the crowds away so they can go to the nearby farms and villages and buy themselves some food." But Jesus said, "You feed them." "With what?" they asked. "It would take a small fortune to buy food for all this crowd." "How much food do you have?" he asked. "Go and find out." They came back and reported, "We have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Then Jesus told the crowd to sit down in groups on the green grass. So they sat in groups of 50 or 100. Then Jesus took the 5 loaves and 2 fish, looked up towards heaven, and asked God's blessing on the food. Breaking the loaves into pieces, he kept giving the bread and fish to the disciples to give to people. They all ate as much as they wanted, and they picked up 12 baskets of leftover bread and fish. 5,000 men had eaten from those 5 loaves. Today's reading is one of the accounts of the feeding of the 5,000. I don't know if you know or not, but there is a version of this story in all 4 of the Gospels. And I really encourage you to read all the different versions in the different Gospels and see what catches your eye, see what you can take from that. And you'll find them in Matthew 14, Mark 6, Luke 9 and John 6. In the Mark account, Jesus feeds at least 5,000 people with only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. And yet everyone has enough to eat, and there are leftovers as well. From the account in Mark, it's not clear how far the disciples and Jesus travelled on the boat to try and get away from the crowds. But what is clear is that Jesus was concerned for his small team of followers, that they had time and space to rest and time to learn from Jesus. But what's also clear is that when Jesus saw the crowds following, the people of the area wanting to see and hear more from Jesus, Jesus had got compassion on them as well. In our modern world, I believe that it's still important that we as followers of Jesus make time and space for ourselves to spend time alone with God or Jesus. However, I think it's also important that we're flexible and have compassion on the people around us. Just because it's our time to spend with Jesus, whether that's on a Sunday morning at church, whether it's in our Bible study or another sacred time, a time that we've set aside, we need to remember that Jesus reached out to the people of his society, and I believe that we should be doing the same as well. Jesus didn't let his desire to teach or look after his disciples get in the way of helping and teaching the people from the surrounding area. Nor should we. My favourite part of the account is a line found in Mark when Jesus says to his disciples, "You give them something to eat." I think I can relate a little bit to the disciples of Jesus as Jesus tells them to feed the crowds of people. I can almost imagine their responses because I think they might be my responses as well. How in the world am I going to do this? Are you kidding me? Where can we get enough food for everybody? Jesus, this is a ridiculous idea. I wonder if you can think of a few more responses. Now, we all know how the story ends. Jesus takes what is available and prays over it. And then miraculously, there is more than enough. Some people have tried to reason out this miracle and say, well, there's a scientific explanation. Like Jesus had already planned what he was going to do. Jesus had already stashed enough bread and fish in a cave nearby so that when it came time to feed the people, the thousands and thousands of people, well, all he had to do was instruct his disciples to go and get the food and then share it out among the people. Other people have tried to say, well, actually Jesus has got this huge cloak on and the disciples just kept passing the fish and the bread to Jesus behind the cloak so that people couldn't see what was going on. This simple story inspires me because when I stop saying to Jesus, how in the world can I do that particular thing? When I actually stop and pray, then things happen. Not always how I imagine that they would happen or how I think they might happen. But the reality is that when I open my eyes enough, when I start to look around and see what is available, it's then that I open up my time, my energy to be used by Jesus for his purpose. When I look around and instead of arguing and saying, how can we do this? When Jesus says, you do it, I can say, here am I, send me. When Jesus says, give them something, I can say, yes, rather than, you must be joking. I hope and pray that that would be true for all of us as we grow in our Christian lives, as we work through Mark's gospel, that we can honestly say, yes, I am learning something from this. With that in mind, let's pray together. Loving God, we thank you for the example of Jesus. And Jesus, we thank you for all that you showed both to your disciples, but also through your word to us. Would you help us to learn and to understand all the things that you are calling us to do? Would you help us to be disciples who say, yes, we can do it, rather than arguing all the time? Show us, Lord, what you would have us do. Amen.